Lamine Yamal, a name that already divides opinion like few players ever have. To some, he's arrogant, too bold, too confident, too untamed.
Qué bueno. Mientras gane, no me pueden decir nada.
At just 18, he stood on football's grandest stage, finishing second in the Ballon d'Or behind legends twice his age. But the question remains, is he football's next genius, or its most dangerous young ego?
Now we're talking about a guy who's me, who doesn't run for his teammates, he doesn't defend from the front, and it always seems to be about him. That is the slippery slope we don't want somebody like Lamine Yamal doing.
This is the story of a teenager who conquered Europe, yet cannot escape controversy. This is Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal Nasraoui Abana was born on July 13, 2007 in Esplugues de Llobregat, a town just outside Barcelona. From the very start, football wasn't just an interest, it was his environment. His father from Morocco and his mother from Equatorial Guinea created a household where culture, discipline, and identity blended. But for young Lamine, the streets and pitches of Catalonia were his true classroom. Even at La Torreta, his local school, teachers and teammates noticed something unusual. His left foot carried a natural weight, not just with skill, but with vision. At an age when most kids were learning basic drills, Yamal was breaking defensive lines, demanding the ball, and playing with a confidence beyond his years. It didn't take long for scouts from La Masia, Barcelona's legendary academy, to take notice, and when he joined, whispers began almost immediately. Coaches described him as different, not just technically gifted, but fearless. He would take on older players, ignore reputations, and insist on playing his way. To some, this looked like arrogance. To others, it was simply brilliance being born. His rise through the academy was meteoric. Unlike most prospects who are carefully shielded, Yamal was pushed forward. The club knew they had something rare. By 15, he was already training with Barcelona's first team, and by 16, he became the youngest ever player to feature in La Liga for Barca. Records weren't just falling, they were being rewritten by a teenager who looked like he had been destined for this stage. But as we'll see, behind every rise, there is always resistance. For some, his swagger was refreshing, a glimpse of Barcelona's future. For others, it felt too much too soon. When Xavi Hernandez, a man who had shared the pitch with legends like Messi, Iniesta, and Ronaldinho, looked at Lamine Yamal, he didn't see just another academy graduate. He saw a spark. That's why in April 2023, with Barcelona already chasing the league title, Xavi did something bold. He handed a 15-year-old his first team debut against Real Betis. The Camp Nou crowd didn't know what to expect. A boy still too young to drive, too young to vote, was stepping onto one of football's most historic stages. But from his very first touches, the whispers grew louder. Yamal wasn't hiding. He wasn't overwhelmed. He demanded the ball, ran at defenders, and played like he belonged. That night, Barcelona fans witnessed the birth of a new era. In a club still searching for life after Messi, this fearless teenager gave hope. His dribbles carried echoes of Ronaldinho's daring, his vision glimpses of Messi's genius, but his confidence was all his own. The following season, he didn't just remain in the squad, he became a weapon. At 16 years and 57 days, he became the youngest ever starter in La Liga history. Soon after, he broke another record, becoming the youngest player ever to register a La Liga assist. Each game felt like another chapter in a story that was unfolding too quickly to believe. But with brilliance comes scrutiny. Pundits argued, was Yamal being overexposed? Was the pressure too much? Critics called his style cocky, his body language arrogant, yet every time the ball reached his left foot, those doubts dissolved. This was not arrogance, this was conviction. The conviction of a player who knew exactly what he could do, even if the world wasn't ready for it. Barcelona had gambled on youth before, but with Lamine Yamal, the gamble felt different. It wasn't just about building for the future, it was about trusting a prodigy who was already rewriting the present. For Barcelona, Lamine Yamal was already becoming a sensation, but it was with Spain that the rest of the world truly began to understand his impact. In September 2023, at just 16 years and 57 days, Yamal made history by becoming the youngest player ever to appear for Spain. And as if that wasn't enough, he scored on his debut against Georgia, making him the youngest goal scorer in Spanish history. Overnight, a new narrative was born. This wasn't just Barcelona's Wonderkid, this was Spain's future. His international professional rise came at a time when Spain was searching for a new identity. The golden generation of Xavi, Iniesta, and Ramos was long gone. The tiki-taka dominance had faded. Spain needed fresh blood, fresh belief, and above all, a player who could inspire fear in defenders again. Yamal's fearless runs, sharp dribbles, and maturity on the ball gave them exactly that. Euro 2024 was the ultimate stage. While most teenagers his age were still navigating school exams, Yamal was preparing to face Europe's elite. And when the tournament began, he didn't just survive, he thrived. Against France in the semifinal, with millions watching, he produced a moment that will live in Spanish football history. A curling strike from outside the box, unstoppable, poetic, unforgettable. He wasn't just scoring goals, he was announcing himself to the world. By the end of the tournament, Yamal had become a European champion and the youngest player ever to score in a European championship. The boy from Esplugues de Llobregat was now the pride of a nation, and yet the debates followed him. Some critics continued to question his attitude.
Now we're talking about a guy who's me, who doesn't run for his teammates, he doesn't defend from the front, and it always seems to be about him.
But for Spain, for Barcelona, and for countless fans across the globe, his so-called arrogance was simply the courage to play the game his way. At 16, Lamine Yamal had already conquered records that others spent entire careers chasing, but his story was still only beginning. For all his brilliance on the pitch, Lamine Yamal has not escaped criticism off it, and one incident in particular cast a shadow over his meteoric rise. His 18th birthday party, what should have been a night of celebration, became a storm of headlines. Reports claimed the event had crossed the line. Accusations of exploiting people with dwarfism and allegations that women were hired to attend based on their body measurements. It was a controversy that exploded across social media, and for the first time in his young career, the word arrogant wasn't just whispered, it was shouted. The backlash was swift. Pundits lined up to weigh in. TalkSport became a focal point of the debate when German tennis legend Boris Becker warned, "Well, it rings alarm bells for me. Yamal is wonderful. He's winning everything. He's the best young player in the world, but obviously that reminds me of young Boris Becker at 17. Pick your friends, trust your family, build a network of security, or else the obvious mistakes will come." It was a warning from someone who knew too well how fame at a young age can unravel a life. When Yamal finally broke his silence 2 months later, he dismissed much of the criticism. He said, "I wasn't mad, I found it funny. They tried to smear it in many ways. A woman said I chose the girls one way or another, and it was all a lie. But the damage was done." To some, his reaction, brushing off the backlash, reinforced the image of a teenager too arrogant to recognize mistakes. To others, it was the resilience of a young man refusing to be dragged down by false stories. This is where psychology offers perspective. Experts argue that what looks like arrogance in prodigies is often confidence, a defense mechanism in the face of pressure few can imagine. Arrogance closes doors, but confidence builds careers. The line, however, is razor thin, and for Yamal, every action, every word, every party will be judged through that unforgiving lens. At just 18 years old, Lamine Yamal is not just another footballer, he is a mirror for his generation. If he had lifted the Ballon d'Or in Paris, he would have been the youngest winner in history. He didn't. Ousmane Dembele's triumph with PSG proved too much, but the fact that Yamal was even a candidate is, in itself, revolutionary. This is not the humility of Messi, nor the warrior discipline of Ronaldo. Yamal speaks in a new language. He has openly declared, "I don't dream of one Ballon d'Or, I dream of many. If I don't get them, it will be my fault." To older generations, that may sound like arrogance. To his peers, it is self-ownership, a mindset that says my destiny is mine. That is why his Monaco summer, his gangster-themed birthday party, even his friendship with Neymar are not career scandals. They are statements. To Gen Z and Gen Alpha, Yamal is closer to a pop star than a traditional footballer. Like a TikTok artist who goes viral overnight, his stardom is raw, unfiltered, and global. Today, he wears Barcelona's iconic number 10. He scores, assists, dances, posts, and dares. And somehow he carries the weight of history while still laughing off the noise. "Do you know any 18-year-old who goes out and it's news?" he once asked, shrugging off the birthday controversy. For his fans, that's exactly the point. He is not hiding from the glare of fame. He is reshaping what stardom looks like in football. Still, football's history is littered with prodigies accused of arrogance. Cristiano Ronaldo, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, even Neymar, all walked the tightrope between confidence and cockiness. Yamal now finds himself on that same tightrope, judged not only for his talent, but for how he carries it. And here lies the tension. Is his demeanor the reflection of a young star losing touch with humility, or the natural aura of a generational talent too good to bow his head? So, what comes next? Lamine Yamal already has the numbers. Youngest to debut for Barcelona, youngest to shine for Spain, and already a Copa Trophy winner, twice. He has the charisma, the following, the aura, but football has a way of humbling. Injuries, benches, dry spells, they will come. And when they do, the test will not be his talent, but his resilience. For now, Barcelona are showing they can win without him. That may be the greatest gift. He is not forced to carry the weight of saviorhood alone. It gives him time to evolve into more than a wonderkid, into a total footballer. And here lies the real verdict. Lamine Yamal is not just fighting for goals or trophies. He is fighting to redefine what it means to be a star in the 21st century. Not Messi's humility, not Ronaldo's discipline, but something new, something that belongs to his generation. And that leaves us with one question. Are we watching the birth of football's next era, or just the rise of another talent who will flash brightly then fade? The answer will come with time. Until then, subscribe and tell us in the comments. Is Lamine Yamal simply brilliant, or the boy who may redefine football forever?